This video was brought to you by Brilliant. As you might have noticed, things aren't going brilliantly for the Conservatives at the moment. They're still a good 20 points behind Labour in the polls, and if the OBR's forecasts are to be believed, they're about to preside over the steepest decline in living standards in modern British history. However, things could be about to get a whole lot worse for the Tories, because it looks like Nigel Farage, formerly of UKIP and Brexit fame, is mulling a return to frontline politics. So in this video, we thought we'd take a look at whether Farage will actually return, what a new Farage or Farage-esque party would look like, and how it would affect both the Conservatives and Labour's electoral chances at the next election. So the first thing to say here is that there's already a Farage party of sorts in the UK today, and that's Reform UK. Reform UK is a rebranded version of the Brexit Party, which Farage himself founded in November 2018 in order to pressure Theresa May to go for a harder line on Brexit and in order to fight in the European elections in May of 2019. And it was in that election that the Conservatives suffered their worst result at a national election in modern British history. And that election result, plus the 2015 general election, where Farage's UKIP might have only won one seat, but scooped an impressive 13% of the popular vote, are the two elections that have made the Conservatives so wary of Farage, because in both cases, his presence caused them significant electoral harm. He might have struggled to gain power himself, but he also limited their ability to get power too. Now, the Brexit Party was renamed Reform UK in January 2021, after the UK had left the EU, whereupon it became primarily an anti-lockdown party. Now, Farage left the party just 2 months later, claiming that he would still be involved in politics via the media, and that he wanted to focus on China's influence in the UK and woke culture. Reform has since been led by Richard Tice, a property developer who used to chair the Brexit Party. Now, since Farage left, Reform has been stuck in the single digits when it comes to polling. And this is essentially because the popularity of fringe parties like UKIP or Reform often depends quite heavily on the appeal of the leader. And whatever his other qualities, Tice has neither Farage's name recognition nor his political nous. Nonetheless, though, even without Farage's help, in the last week or so, Reform have ticked up in the polls. And a poll by People Polling in November 19th put them at 8%, their highest ever result. Nonetheless, while Tice's Reform UK might be doing better than usual, a Farage-led vehicle, either Reform UK or a new right-wing outlet, would almost definitely do even better. In fact, polling from Public First from late November found that an astonishing 28% of people were either very or quite interested in voting for whatever new party Farage forms, including 43% of Leavers, 38% of 2019 Tories, and 21% of 2019 Labour voters. Interestingly though, the demographic that Farage performs best with are wealthy voters, with 60% of people self-reporting as very financially comfortable, saying that they would also consider voting Farage. Obviously, this is just one poll though, and it's about a hypothetical, so all of the usual caveats apply. But even allowing for a large margin of error, if anywhere near this many 2019 Conservative voters shifted to a new Farage party, or a Farage-led Reform UK, it could mean electoral oblivion for the Conservatives. As we explained in our previous video, the Conservatives are already 20 points behind and on track to win less than 200 seats. So if Farage enters the fray, they might plausibly win less than 100 seats, which could spell the end of the Conservative Party. So this leads to the question, will Farage actually return? Well, if his tweets are anything to go by, it looks like there's at least a chance. He spent the last few weeks furiously criticizing the Conservatives and Sunak more specifically, who he's described as a Goldman Sachs globalist. And he first floated the idea of rejoining the political fray back on October 20th, the day of Liz Truss's resignation, when he took to Twitter to ask for help to replace what he described as the dying Conservative Party. Just a month later, last Sunday, Farage told The Sun that he wasn't ruling anything out and warned that the Tories would be, quote, obliterated if they went for a Swiss-style Brexit. Then on Monday, he wrote a piece in The Express where he described Jeremy Hunt as a globalist, a Remainer, and a left-of-centre Democrat, going on to argue that the Conservatives have failed to make the most of Brexit. In his tweet advertising the article, he said that the Tories would be utterly routed if they try Brexit in name only, and that he would personally see to it. So if Farage does return, what would his new party focus on? Well, as we see it, there are 4 main policy areas that a new Farage-esque outfit should focus on if they want to squeeze the Conservatives. Those being immigration, Brexit, taxes, and net zero. Let's start with immigration. While the Conservatives, and especially Suella Braverman, like to talk a tough game on immigration, their policies don't actually have the desired effect. Net immigration is basically as high as it was pre-Brexit. Channel boat crossings are on the way up, and the Rwanda plan has been scuppered by predictable legal hurdles. And Farage would probably be able to capitalise on this by criticising the Conservatives' ineffective immigration policies and promising to be even stricter on the issue. When it comes to Brexit, it's clear that at least some members of the cabinet want a closer relationship with the EU, hence the Switzerland-style deal rumours. And this creates space for Farage to do what he's always done: criticise the government for being insufficiently Brexity, accuse people like Hunt and Sunak of being closet Remainers, and pitch himself as the only true Brexiteer, fighting valiantly against the Remain establishment. On taxes, Sunak's instinct for fiscal restraint and the market reaction to Truss's tax cut-heavy mini-budget has scuppered the Conservatives' low-tax ambitions. The tax burden is already forecast to hit a post-war high of about 38% of GDP, which creates a lot of political space for Farage to pitch himself as the only true low-tax option out there. In fact, he's already described the recent autumn budget as an open attack on entrepreneurs and small businesses, and suggested that the government should scrap HS2 to afford tax cuts. The final angle Farage is likely to take is net zero. While Sunak originally looked a bit skeptical about net zero, refusing to make an appearance at COP, he promptly U-turned and has since pledged to actually accelerate the UK's net zero transition. Now, while net zero is supported by a majority of Brits, there's definitely a contingent who blame green policies for their high energy bills. And any Farage party will almost definitely be at least a bit sceptical of net zero, given that Farage himself has called for a referendum on net zero on a number of occasions. So those are the angles a Farage party would likely take. And if they resonate as expected with a wing of the Conservative Party, they could squeeze the Conservatives' performance even further. Now, this likely wouldn't actually help Farage all that much. He might find himself struggling to win any seats yet again. But by stealing voters from the Conservatives, Farage could put the Tories in real danger. Labour look fairly likely to win no matter what happens. But if a Farage-style party was to emerge from the wings, Sunak would have a lot to worry about. Ultimately, though, we'll have to wait and see what the Farage actually runs, and if a platform like this could actually resonate with the public effectively enough. And in order for us to find out, we're just going to have to wait. And I'll warn you that things like this usually take forever to resolve. And if that hurts your head, then you should check out Brilliant's course on infinity. As a child, I always used to say that the very concept of infinity hurt my mind. And having now taken the course, at least I understand infinity now. But if I'm honest, it does still bother me. It's not just maths either. There's interactive courses on physics, computer science, and a whole variety of STEM topics. Plus, there's some incredibly fun content from your favorite YouTubers too, like Kurzgesagt and a brand new course from our Nebula friends over at Real Engineering. So finish off the year by bettering yourself with Brilliant, where you'll find thousands of incredible courses where you'll learn by doing, as well as discovering whole new ways of thinking. And better still, the first 200 people to sign up using our link in the description will get 20% off an annual premium subscription. Thanks for your support.